As temperatures rise, so should precautions. Medical professionals say that even some of the ways that you cool off could bring some dangers. Some people like Bernadette Scott have been waiting for the heat.
I like it hot.
How about feeling like more than 100 degrees?
No, especially because I don't have air conditioning in my house. But I have a basement, so I'll go in the basement and hang out down there.
She brought a couple of her grandchildren to Bluebell Beach in Genesee Township, encouraging them to
stay hydrated, definitely stay hydrated, because in this kind of weather, you can get dehydrated quick.
Well, Grandma's message still has to sink in.
I haven't drunk no water today, but I might, yeah.
Covenant Healthcare registered nurse Laura Walker says that's one of the big ways you can stay safe.
You also want to kind of limit your outdoor activity to small time frames, just doing a little bit and then resting. And then I can't say enough about hydration, hydration, hydration.
She says drinks that are sugary or contain alcohol and caffeine can dehydrate you, a problem she says many people already have. She explains dehydration can contribute to heat illness.
Sweating is a good sign. If you get to the point where you're no longer sweating, that's a true heat emergency because your body is that dehydrated. So you start to see periods of confusion or high irritability.
She says that's when you need to get immediate care. She says others who are overheated may be able to be treated at home by getting into cooler air and getting a cool, wet cloth. Walker, who works in injury prevention and trauma education, warns against the dangers of burns and not just sunburns.
Make sure the kids are wearing shoes. That pavement's going to be hot. The cement's going to be hot. The slide is going to be hot.
And she says never lose sight of your kids around pools or lakes, even reminding us that cold water temperatures, especially in larger bodies of water, can be a shock to your body.
Unless you have a heated pool, our temperatures have been low at night. The pools and the lakes are not that warm yet.
It is already hot and humid, and we have heard that it is going to get hotter and even more humid tomorrow, potentially dangerously hot here across mid-Michigan. Now, with those temperatures and the humidity, I'm being told that some people are particularly vulnerable, although all of us could potentially be susceptible to heat illness. And some of those things that you need to be worried about if you're outside or even indoors, because I know not everyone has air conditioning, you need to be aware of your body heating up, I'm being told. And I spoke a little earlier with Covenant Healthcare, and what I'm being told is that some people, once they stop sweating, that can be a major concern. Now, there's several different levels to heat illness. People outside can get, of course, sunburn, and it goes on up to heat exhaustion and eventually heat stroke. Some of the signs of heat exhaustion, I'm being told, excessive sweating and also feeling lightheaded potentially. These are also signs of dehydration, but it can potentially elevate, I'm being told, up to the level of heat stroke. And that's when a person stops sweating. That's one of the potential signs and symptoms. A person also might have rapid pulse. That's also a big concern. And if that happens, you need to call 911 immediately. Now, when I did speak with Covenant Healthcare nurse Laura Walker, she's telling me, of course, that not everyone has easy ways of cooling off, such as air conditioning, but there are other things that you can do to stay safe. This is what she said.
Maybe applying some cool wet rags, fan. We cool off in different ways. We cool off by air blowing over us. We also cool off by, having something cooler on us helps relieve some of the heat from us. So you want to wear like light clothing, switch into some light clothing.
Now, Nurse Walker emphasized drinking water, staying hydrated. She says if you get sugary drinks, that can work against the body. Caffeinated drinks, she says, can actually deplete the body of water. And if you're going to be outside anywhere, walking, working, perhaps being at the park like McClellan Park, which is right behind me here in Flint, you need to make sure that you're watching, particularly for seniors and the children, who she says might be most vulnerable.
Genesee County Health Department says the first step is to stay cool. Now, you can use an air conditioner. You can also go to your neighbor's house or even the shopping mall to cool off. Fans can also be helpful, but only when they're in a window and that window is open or the AC is on, because when it's hot outside like this, the health department says they can't prevent illness because it's very hot outside. Other tips that health professionals strongly recommend are for you to stay hydrated and to not wait until you're thirsty. They even suggest avoiding alcohol and caffeine because both can cause dehydration. When outside in the sun, experts suggest wearing thin and light colored clothing, a hat, sunglasses, and at least SPF 15 sunscreen. For kids, they remind parents to make sure your kids are wearing shoes. If you plan to exercise or swim, professionals encourage you to reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours. Health officials further add you should never leave your children, the elderly, or pets in parked cars because this can be dangerous even with the windows open. In addition, they say it may be helpful to take a cool shower or bath and to keep your shades and curtains closed to block the sun from coming in your home or office. Health professionals also say it's important to watch how your body is reacting to the heat.
Sweating is a good sign. If you get to the point where you're no longer sweating, that's a true heat emergency because your body is that dehydrated. So those are one of the poor sides. You start to see periods of confusion or high irritability.
Laura Walker is a registered nurse at Covenant Healthcare. She understands it may be tempting to cool off in cold water temperatures, but she says this can cause a shock to our bodies because the pools and lakes aren't warm yet. Meanwhile, several local organizations are opening cooling stations for the community where you don't have to bring anything to enter.
Anytime it's over the degrees of 85, we'll have our hallway open. We'll be serving snacks and water from 11 to 5 p.m. We serve lunch from 11:30 to 12:30, and we serve dinner from 4 to 5.